Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is Super Turrican Director's Cut for the Super Nintendo, and I'm playing this one on an analog Super NT machine. This Super Turrican game is actually a pack-in with the system, along with Super Turrican 2. Doesn't have a cartridge, but instead you can access either one of these games from the standard game menu. This is my first SNES review, and it's also my first review using the Super NT system. The system's about $200 with shipping, which I know isn't cheap, but the unit seems pretty solid, and having two packing games like this really adds to the value, I think. Overall, this is a pretty decent game, so it's not like they tossed in something junky just to fill the space. So the Turrican game franchise, it started way back on the Commodore 64. I never played that one, but I'll be checking it out eventually, because apparently it was pretty good. So with this game, the first thing I think maybe I'd want to critique on this one, maybe is the color scheme. Everything is really bright and vibrant in this game, and for a military run-and-gun shooter, I don't know, I guess I would have expected maybe less of a happy color palette, and maybe more of a dreary army palette. It isn't a huge thing really, but it kind of makes it hard to quickly pick up enemies sometimes on the screen, because the palette they use for enemies almost sort of blends into the background a little. They just don't pop, I guess. I don't know. I'm just wondering if all these happy colors that they chose here, maybe they should be a little less happy. In this game, you play a soldier, and you're a soldier that's wearing the Super Turrican armor. And, well, you shoot stuff, and you just try to make it to the end of the game. So, shoot enemies, kill bosses, stuff like that. It's a run and gun. It's a Contra-like shooter, really, but it also strangely feels like a standard, shoot 'em up for some reason. Like a flying shoot 'em up. You're just not piloting a ship. I think it's because of the range of weapon upgrades. I didn't expect this to happen in a run and gun. There are upgrade pods everywhere. If you jump and you shoot, it's not going to be unusual for you to find a hidden upgrade. You can also shoot these upgrade pods multiple times, and it's suddenly like it's raining power-ups. It feels a little bit like picking up coins in Super Mario Bros. The upgrades, well, they're kind of all across the board. There are a few different things you can upgrade, really. You can get a bigger spread of shots for your current weapon, and then you just get even a bigger spread than that, and we're talking a huge cascade of offensive fire. It's like this cone of death shooting from the end of your weapon. It's so dense, I start to wonder where all the ammunition is being stored. But there isn't any ammo here to worry about, it's just unlimited. So pretty much you hold the trigger down and have fun. Actually, that's probably worth stating here. I'm holding the fire button down at least 90-95% of the time, and the remaining percentage I'm not holding the button down is probably just because I'm trying to break up the monotony, or at least remind myself that maybe I don't have to shoot all the time, although you kinda need to shoot all the time. You can get different fire as well. You get these crazy bouncing shots, those are kind of fun, or you get this gnarly blue pulse laser thing that really cuts through enemies that are in front of you. Overall, they're all pretty good, so I don't find myself wanting to avoid any power-up here, because they all seem to be pretty useful. There are other things in here as well. I was shocked to find you can actually roll up in a ball and roll around like Sonic the Hedgehog, or like in Metroid maybe. I wasn't expecting that to be a thing here. Plus you can drop bombs when you're rolling around, though I don't really think I've killed anything when I drop these bombs, but still it's pretty fun to do. The developers of the game, they seem to really want to create this pimping suit of armor, and I have to say, they did. Seriously. It's a good thing this game puts you on a timer, because if they didn't, I would just want to keep walking around, shooting back and forth at everything, just admiring how badass this suit is. The level design is pretty nice. It's also not just directly left or right motion that we're talking about. It's not free world, but it's spacious and it moves around. You can go up, you can go down, you can go left and right, and sometimes it's not even just a little bit. You can kind of go upwards at a distance where you're thinking that this might actually be the path you're supposed to go, when in fact it might just be a slight diversion to get power-ups and stuff. As you do start to go to the right direction, though, you're going to see little signs that tell you that you're on the right path, so that's nice. You have your main cannon, which is of course upgradable and changeable, and your primary weapon, basically. You also have a laser beam that basically freezes enemies in place. It is certainly useful, but most useful with this weapon is just the fact that you can hold that button down and you can swirl your joypad around and swing the laser around 360 degrees. The thing is, you can't swing your standard cannon. You can only shoot forward, which is either directly left or directly right, and that kind of stinks. But when you upgrade your weapon, you do get a pretty large spread, so maybe it's not a big deal. But if something gets in close to you and it's sort of out of your field of fire, you're probably going to want to switch to the freeze laser. You also have this Mega Blast type of screen-clearing weapon where you shoot these blue walls of energy, and they just sort of start in the middle and they sort of cascade out left and right. It's certainly nice to have when you're in a bind. It can be useful for getting to things you can't reach right away. The music here's nice. It almost feels maybe a little more happy than it should be. It's certainly decent music, but as you're playing this, I imagine you might have the same thought. It feels awfully happy and peppy for somebody running around in a mega suit of armor, shooting everything. There are also occasional voice clips every now and again when you grab a power-up. I wouldn't say it's a huge part of this game, but it pops up every now and then, and when it does, honestly, it's kind of nice. It's different. This one, sometimes jumping in tight spaces can be a bit of a chore. You need to be really exact in some places, and in a bunch of cases, actually, you need to shoot before you jump if you're trying to make it to a platform, especially on the first level. It's like they've placed certain monsters right in your jump path, and you'll be unable to kill them clean before you land, so you'll end up taking damage. So if you want to have a better game, sometimes you have to manipulate shooting somebody from a lower platform, or pre-jumping a little bit, just to get something killed before you actually move to the platform. The first boss in this game is this badass giant robot fist that does that cool thing that the Super Nintendo started doing. It's that whole zoom in on pixels thing, where the pixel density doesn't seem to change as you zoom in. I'm sure this has a name. I just haven't cared enough to hunt it down yet. It's this neat effect, and it shows up in a bunch of SNES games. Anyway, this fist usually pounds me into oblivion, but it's certainly doable. You run around, you shoot it, you move on to the next level. The level designs, well, they do change in basic design as you go forward, but they always sort of feel roughly the same. They are packed full with enemies or enemy fire, or maybe some sort of smoke or fire. I'd have to say, there really is no shortage of visuals on this game. Overall, this is a competent side-scroller, and I think there are a lot of cool things here going for it. I think it's certainly worth some playtime, and based on this game alone, I'm going to be checking out other releases in the Turrican series. Well, that's all I have today for Super Turrican Director's Cut for the Super Nintendo. Thanks for stopping by to take a look, and I'll catch you on another video.